we got us a very, very interesting Big Ten game. We have the Iowa Hawkeyes playing against the USC Trojans, and they're headed out to LA. USC is a 6.5-point favorite in this game, and this is a matchup where you can throw the rankings, you can throw stats, you can throw everything out of the window, because this is going to be about which team can get the other team to play their brand of football. And that's it. Now, the weather should be good. Actually, you know what? I'm just playing with y'all. The weather's going to be awful. This is a 12:30 kick on Big Ten Network. And some people are like, how could you put this game on Big Ten Network? Well, USC is such a big brand, they haven't had enough games on Big Ten Network yet. And one of your conference games does have to be on Big Ten Network. So this is not one that you would have expected, but it is what it is. USC leads this series historically, but Iowa's most recent win came in the 2019 Holiday Bowl, which I remember, which was a very, very tough and physical football game. The thing you can really pay attention to in this game is the over-under, because the over-under is at 49.5, which is a higher number than what you would have even expected in a typical Iowa game. But it is also lower than what you would have expected out of a USC team who averages almost this many points per game. Now, this is a classic styles make fights game. You have the number 2 offense in the country in USC in terms of yards per game. And then you have the number 4 defense in the country in terms of yards allowed. So these two things are going to clash, and somebody has to win. Now, USC fans will tell you, well, that's what happens when you score a lot and you give people other possessions and all of this. Now, I was of that belief in my younger years as well. However, what I have learned, and what I hope USC fans can learn, is that, yes, you score a lot of points and you give the ball back to the other team more, but that doesn't mean you have to give up a ton of yards. Now, let's get the coach versus the coach. We got Lincoln Riley versus Kirk Ferentz, a.k.a. the Dean. He is going to lean on the running game and then try to complement that with a little bit of pass game. They are going to depend on their quarterback, Mark Gronowski, in the run game to mess up USC's run fits. This is going to test USC's physicality, because we saw what happened when they played against Illinois. But Illinois could throw the ball significantly better than Iowa can, or even Iowa desires to. So the question is, can USC get stops? Is Lincoln Riley going to allow the physicality in practice? Is this the mentality that they're going to have for not, because you can't do this to Iowa for 30 minutes. You can't do it to them for 45 minutes. You must dominate them for 60 minutes and put points on the board, because if you get tired, if your defensive line gets worn out, or your secondary doesn't tackle well, this is going to be a problem, and it is going to turn into a slobber knocker. This will be what the Northwestern game was, except for on steroids, if they allow it to. But then on Lincoln Riley's side, their offense, it is back to bully mode in 2025. The defense has improved. They are opportunistic. And he has also gotten this offense with Jayden Maivia as his quarterback to be one of the most explosive in the country. He's got great wide receivers. And it seems like that when he was at Oklahoma, he didn't have to build a program. He inherited a great program. So when he got to USC, he then had to learn how to build a program. And it took a while, but it is clearly headed in the right direction right now. Let's look at these quarterbacks. We got the quarterback battle. We got Mark Gronowski, who right now has a touch over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, but he does have well over 300 yards rushing and 12 rushing touchdowns on the season. And he's a situational passer. This is a guy who, if you're USC, you want to make sure that you are forcing him to throw the ball, particularly in 3rd and long. He's not going to make a lot of risky throws and make a lot of mistakes. Mark Gronowski, he's got some of that Tim Tebow energy. He's got some of that Byron Brown down at USF energy. USF just spreads it out a little bit more instead of packing it in like Iowa does to run the football. But it is pretty much the same concept versus Jayden Maivia, who is thrown for over 2,600 yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 picks. and has a top 3 nationally in terms of QBR. And he just diced up Northwestern, did a great job for almost 300 yards, and he has multiple 300-yard spikes over the course of this season, including 360 yards versus Notre Dame. This kid can't hurt you. He can escape the pocket, extend plays, and sometimes he's running, especially when he's going to his right. You think that he's going to be throwing the ball away. Nope. Nice little dime, and the wide receivers make plays for him. So if you are Iowa, one of the things that you want to do to eliminate Jayden Maivia's effectiveness is, number one, keep him in the pocket, squeeze him, and don't let him out the back door. Or if you do let him out, it's got to be to the left, because he is significantly less effective rolling out to his left than he is to his right, which is obviously his throwing arm. And if you can do that, he will put some balls in danger for you. He will. Are the USC wide receivers going to be there to bail him out when he does put the ball at risk? Or are the Iowa defenders going to be able to capitalize on that? Because this game is going to be heavy on possessions and quarterback play. Iowa doesn't really turn the ball over, and they also don't commit a lot of penalties. In the Oregon game, the offense and the defense didn't get called for one penalty. It happened on special teams with a snap over the kicker's head, and it got kicked out of the back of the end zone. That's the only penalty that they had. So if you are a USC fan, do not expect penalties to be, don't expect holding, don't expect pass interference, don't expect none of it. Just assume that they are going to have played a clean game. And then for USC, you can't hurt yourself with penalties. Because if you give this Iowa team extra first downs and free first downs, they will 4-yard you to death. They will 3-yard you, 4-yard you, 3-yard you, 6-yard you, 7-yard you, until your fans are just throwing their hats on the field. They're going to be upset if you allow them to do that. So now let's talk about that Iowa offense versus the USC defense. So you got Iowa, who's averaging almost 30 points a game and 309 yards per game, which is middle of the pack in terms of college football. So you're like, how is this going to be? There's no way they can score enough points to keep up with us. Well, they shorten the game, they shorten the possession, so it is hard to score a lot of points against them if they are allowed to get multiple first downs, and particularly because they're completing and picking up first downs at 44% over the course of the season. And they are dominating time of possession, because over the course of the season, they're holding the ball well over more than half of the game, which makes it shorter. Now, I will tell you this. Here's the sports lesson. When people get to talking about time of possession does not correlate to wins and losses. It doesn't. It has no correlation between how long you have the ball and whether you won the game or whether you lost the game. Turnovers are special teams touchdowns, defensive touchdowns. Those are the things that have the correlations between winning and losing, the amount of penalties and all of those things. That's it. Here's a secret, USC fans, from somebody who just watched a lot of Iowa tape last week and has watched them play multiple times this season. The key to this entire offensive engine and the special teams engine is Wetjen, number 21. This kid is the kid that you have to make sure he doesn't get punt returns. Make sure he doesn't get kick returns, because they do a great job of blocking, scheming, and setting up. And if you let him get a special teams touchdown or huge returns and make a short field, the defense is going to have some problems. And it's the same thing on offense. They do a lot of window dressing with Wetjen and then hand the ball off to Kamari Mooten, who is their actual running back. But I can promise you that after the Oregon game, that they are going to be trying to find ways to get Wetjen the ball more. It's not that you can ignore Mooten, but I can promise you Wetjen is going to get more touches than he did in the game against Oregon. That's just the truth. And then the wide receiver crew, Sam Phillips. Kid's got 216 yards. He's their best wide receiver. And I know USC fans are laughing at the video right now. Oh my, 216 yards. What are we doing? But that's just reality, pal. That is reality. And the fact that Iowa can win football games like this, and I said it last week, people get to looking at this Iowa roster demographic. And they're like, oh my God, there's too many white guys. They can't beat us. We got athletes all over the place. Look at our melanin. Don't matter because the reality is Kirk Ferentz, he recruits great football players. He recruits the demographics, yes, that are in Iowa and the surrounding area, but he finds the fast ones. He finds the strong ones. He finds the intelligent ones. He finds the tough ones. And those are the ones that are going to be on the field. So don't let that happen. And it reminds me of when I was in the NFL and we were playing against the Green Bay Packers. It was early in Jordy Nelson's career. And you got all the DBs and people start talking about Jordy and people like, oh, listen, I'm not letting that white guy do this to me. Okay. And then after the game, they were like, he's just a really good football player. Yeah, okay. Don't fall into that trap, buddy. And then you got USC's, their defensive reality. This is not the 2002 season. This is not chaos going on. They have improved the structure under Danton Lynn. They are creating drive-ending plays. And the star on this defense is Bishop Fitzgerald, their safety. This kid is electric. He's got 5 interceptions. He's been a red zone thief. And then you got to think about what Eric Gentry brings in terms of tackling the football. He's going to have to be at his best. And he's a big, tall, rangy. That actually, I believe, plays to his disadvantage at times when tackling smaller running backs. And also when fighting off blocks sometimes because he's big, rangy, lanky, and which does play in his favor in terms of the pass game especially. But in the run game, it can be a deficit, and he is going to have to be at his best in this game, just like Tompkins, Jakeem Stewart, Anthony Lucas, and Kamari Rams. Now, Kamari, in the secondary, he's going to have to tackle. He's going to have his best game tackling, and his eyes are going to have the best eye discipline that he's had all year. Because what Iowa will do, they will run, play action, back out of the backfield to slip them out on a wheel route or something like that and hit you over the head for 25, 30 yards. You're like, ugh. And when Iowa picks up 25 or 30 yards on you, it feels like 50 or 60 from anybody else. And then on the defensive line, how this game plays is that if Iowa hits, 4 to 6 yards on first down, they keep the quarterback run present, and they're going to be able to move the sticks. That if that happens, it is going to be a very, very long day. Now, USC, they have lived in the red zone with clutch takeaways, and Iowa needs touchdowns. They don't need field goals to win this football game. And USC is going to have to weather the storm. They're going to have to be patient and not get frustrated. Now, USC's offense versus Iowa's defense. USC's averaging 40 points per game, 500 plus yards per game, 303 pass yards per game, 200 rush yards per game, and they're 52% on third down. This is an adult offense. This is not for kids, and it is more balanced than Lincoln Riley has been, and he's been committed to the run at a high level. And he's going to look at this Oregon game where Oregon rushed for 261 yards on Iowa and say, let's go do that. And it's going to be a challenge. Is his offensive line and is this USC offensive line in his scheming with the threat of the pass going to be good enough to run the football on Iowa? That is going to be the biggest question, because Iowa's counter to that is discipline. They don't let people behind them for big plays. There's going to be turnover margin, all of that. And then you got their linebacker. He's going to have to be disciplined with his eyes in the run game and the pass game, because how you beat USC is you stop them from running the football. Yes, of course. You got phenomenal wide receivers in Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane in his jump ball skills, and King Miller in the run game. All of those things. And Maivia can hurt you in the pass game so many ways, but it all is predicated on the run game. And yes, they can pick up third and longs, but it is going to be significantly difficult to pick up third and longs against this Iowa team. Llewellyn, the defensive end, he is a monster. He is a beast, but it all comes down to stopping USC from running the football. Because if you do stop that and the screen game, now they got to line up and play football the way that you want them to. But that is a difficult task to do. Now, the X factors in this game. For Iowa, it is the hidden yardage. It is the hidden yardage in the penalties, special teams, and then also turnovers. Because Ferentz ball is a decent way to play football. But it also doesn't allow you to win championships because at some point in time, your defense is going to have a rough day and you got to go score more points. The X factor for USC, red zone touchdown rate. That's it. When you get in the red zone, you have to score points. And if the Trojans go for 4 touchdowns in 5 trips instead of 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals, they're going to run away with this game and absolutely cover. You think about with Fitzgerald's ball hawking on the other side too, this defense has a chance. So my prediction in this game is USC to win this football game. But I believe that Iowa keeps it inside it at 6.5 points. This is going to be gut check time for USC, and we're going to see what they are made of. But if USC is looking ahead to next week at that Oregon game, they will get shocked in this football game. I'm George Wrighster. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show, and be one of us.